Good morning, friends, and good morning, madam. And as part of my seminars practice, so today I would like to take a class on stress and its management. Okay, today's topic is stress as well as and its management. So first, we'd like to know what do you mean by stress and how to control the stress or how to manage the stress. Okay, what is the stress? So first we should know the what is the definition of the stress. Okay, stress is often termed as a 20th century syndrome born out of man's race towards modern progress and its ensuing complexities. So, the stress is often termed as a 20th syndrome, 20th century syndrome. Means, from the 20th century onwards, the people are suffering from the stress. So, that is the way the started number of increases cases with the stress are increased in the 20th century. So, born out of man's race towards modern progress as well as its ensuing complexity. How the modern progress is going on, okay, based on that the stress rate also in the man's or woman, so the stress rate also is going increased. Okay, there will be some complexities also there to ensuing the stress. Okay, what is the stress? So although we all talk about stress, it's often is not clear what stress is really about. So we always says that no, see, when the patient, when we ask the anybody, okay, if they were dull, if they are silent, if they are not speaking with anyone, simply we'll ask. So they may say that yeah, I'm suffering with the stress. So if not, they may say that yeah, I'm feeling somewhat stress. So actually, what is the clear? There nobody knows that what is the stress clearly. Many people consider stress to be something that happens to them as a negative event, such as an injury or a job loss. Others think that stress is what happens to our body, mind, and behavior in response to an event. Example, heart thumping and anxiety or nail biting. So here there are the many people. Okay, the people are always the consider that the when the something is happening to them, okay, always they may have a negative thought, such as if for example if they are having any injury, if they lost any job. Okay, so these all the things also that may comes into their mind is this, that is stress. Others maybe think that the stress maybe happens to our body, mind, and soul, or the behavior also in response to an event. Okay, for example, heart thumping, and when the patient is suffering with the anxiety, or when the patient is having nail biting and all. So, okay, these all the shows, they may shows out of the stress. Okay, response to any situation we find challenging, fighting, or difficulty. Okay, here when the stress occurs to the patient, so always will when the situations occurs to the patient, so we'll find some challenges, we'll find some fightings, we'll face some difficulties to overcome or to manage the stress. Okay, so the way the body responds to the demands of one's lifestyle, okay, that is the effects of wear and tear on our body. Okay, the way the body is when the stress affects to the patient, so the people or the person, how their body is responding towards the stress. Okay, that may be based on their lifestyles, that may be based on their demands of the body. Okay, the definition of the stress is equal to pressure greater than the resource. Okay, here the stress occurs when the pressure is greater than the resource. Here you should understand this formula. Okay, when the stress occurs to the patients, okay, when the stress occurs to the patients, what will happen? Whatever the resources, okay, whatever the resources in the sense, like when the patients wants to, there are the many resources are there in daily uses, right? So like in their daily activities. Okay, maybe that may be the people need some love. Okay, the people need care, people need job, people need money. Okay, people need some sort of work. Okay, there are the many resources are there. Okay, when the resources are greater than, so they were going through these resources, so when there is a shortage occurs, okay, when the shortage occurs in those areas, or in their, if you take in a life situations also. Okay, if you are not having a good life, okay, if you are not having a good communication, if you are not having a, if you are losing someone those whom you loved. Okay, these all the things are, so sometimes it may be greater. Okay, these pressure, sometimes when we are not overcoming these all the problems, okay, that may be lack of employment, poverty, uneducation, okay, like the people, divorced people, okay, exam pressure, okay, the people may have interview pressure, okay, there are the many life situations, like they won't have any peace of mind in their family, husband and wife, children may have like pressure of their assignments and also. These are the, see, when the pressure is greater than the resources, okay, means you are not at all, as a person you are not at all overcoming that particular problems, okay, you are not overcoming the particular stress. So when you are not overcoming a particular resources, when the pressure occurs, there will be, you will feel somewhat pressure in your mind, in your body. So when the pressure is greater than the resources, automatically the stress may occurs to the patient, okay. Then the stress and stressor, okay. Stress, what do you mean by stress? What do you mean by stressor? As a person's response to events that are threatening or challenging, that is stress. A stressor means a stimulus that causes the stress, okay. Here what do you mean by stress? Stress means a person's response, a body response, or person's response, or individual response, okay, events or response to the events that are challenging or threatening, okay, that is called the stress. A stress means a stimulus that causes the stress, will call as stress, or otherwise that stressor is also a situation or a person, okay. When the stress occurs to the patients, in the stressor what will happen, we'll see some anxiety response in the patient, okay. Stress and stressor, okay. It's not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it. So when the stress affects to the patients, okay, you don't think that stress may kill the people, okay, it's not like that. Our reaction means how we are, the way we are responding to the stress, the way we are overcoming the stress, the way we are adapting to the stress, so that is our reaction, okay. Stress is not at all going to kill a person, our reactions only may kill our persons, because always we may think that when the stress occurs, that may be like, if that is the severe stress, that may be leads to depression. When the depressions in a severe that may be leads to suicidal. There are the many problems, even health problems they may have, okay. So like stress won't kill us, so our reactions only may kill us. The individual, so individual stress, everyone is different with unique perceptions of and reactions to events. There is no single level of stress that is optimal for all people. Some are more sensitive owing to experiences in childhood, the influence of teachers, parents and religions, okay. Every individual is different, right? So every individuals are different, so with unique perceptions and reactions to events. So when the stress affects to the patient, or when the stress affects to the individual, what will happen, their perceiving level, how they are perceiving a particular problem, and how their reactions, how their events, okay, to the particular problems might be different in all individuals, okay. There is no single level of stress that is optimal for all people. We cannot say that stress is equal for all, so they are depend based on their level of stress, and based on their level of overcoming, based on their adjustment, okay, based on their the situations, when it comes painful situations comes, how they are overcoming. So that may be the stress, maybe stress is not at all equal for everyone, okay. Even we cannot say that even a single person cannot say that stress is optimal for all. So some are more sensitive, and they may owe some experience in childhood, the influence of teachers, and sometimes, so some people might be sensitive, very sensitive. So if the childhood, when we are sensitive, when these type of stress occurs, childhood mostly we may get stress completely related to the school, okay, means like related to exams, related to the assignments, homeworks and all. When the teachers ask the questions, when we are unable to answer, so we may feel somewhat shy in front of all the students. So there are the some that all the stressors in childhood. We may face these type of stress that are very sensitive to the child, because child doesn't know how to overcome the stress, right? So that is the way. So even they may, due to the motivation of the teachers, and due to motivation of the parents, due to motivation of the religions and all, it may like give some sort of experiences to the people, okay, children's mostly, okay. Then categorizing stressors. How can we categorize the stressors? There are the general types of stressors are there, that are cataclysmic events and personal stressors and background stressors. These are the three categories are there under the stressors. Stressors, who are the stressors? The stimulus of the stress we'll call as stressor, or stressor is a person or situation. When stress occurs to the patient, there will be anxiety response may occur. Okay. First one is cataclysmic events. These are the strong stresses that occur suddenly and typically affect many people at once. So that are examples are natural disasters. It may be floods, it may be earthquakes, it may be bomb blasting, it may be cyclone effects and all. Okay, these are the tsunami. These are the natural disasters. Okay, when the natural disasters also means natural disasters means, so at a time these stress may affect to the many people. Okay, means no, when the disasters occurs, automatically the persons may lost their jobs, lost their money, lost their homes, lost their property, lost their clothes, everything, lost their shelter. So that is completely that is a natural disaster. So completely everybody, not only one group of people or not only 100 or 1000 people, around the crores of people, when the disaster occurs naturally, it may be earthquakes, it may be floods, the number of lakhs or crores of people may affected with this type of stress. So it may affect at a time to the people, that is cataclysmic events. The next one is personal stresses. So major life events such as the death of a family member that have immediate negative consequences that generally fade with time. So here a personal stresses means here the personal, so it's only related to their personal life situations. It may be loss of loved ones, okay, loss of family member, or death of family member, death of husband, death of wife, death of children. Okay, that all the mainly that may have a immediate negative consequences, and the patient immediately they may have a negative consequences. Means, how should I survive without my husband? How should I survive without my mother? Okay, how should I overcome this stress? So they may feel something in their body, and they may have a negative consequences immediately, and even that may generally fade with time. Sometimes after, see how many days they may cry if they lost their loved one month, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. After that, when times is going on, so automatically that all the memories may be fade out. Okay, means they may forget all the problems. The next one is background stressor. The last third one is background stressors. Everyday annoyances such as being stuck in traffic and that cause minor irritations and may have long-term ill effects if they continue or compound by other stressful situations. Okay, every day, see background stressors in the sense like that may be major ill, chronic ill, when the patient is suffering. For example, you take cancer patients means the 4 stages are there. You think that patient is under the 3rd stage, so he need to cross all the stages. When he was in completely bed, okay, he will feel somewhat stress. So chronic illness also which leads to stress. Okay, even some people may have some type of stress when they were stuck in the traffic. So if they were having the job timings at 9 o'clock, if they were not coming from the traffic even 10-11 o'clock, that may be, it may get irritation, not only for the specific persons, even for everyone. When we are in the urgency, when we are want to arrive for on time, when we are a punctual person, so we need to go to the work on a time, right? So when the situations are not working out on time, so that also which leads to the stress. Okay, then now we'll move on to the eustress versus distress. Okay, what do you mean by eustress? What do you mean by distress? When stress is good and leads to something desirable, such as studying for a big exam and then receiving a good grade on the exam, it is called eustress. What do you mean by eustress? Automatically the eustress is nothing but a good stress in the sense which may leads to something desirable. See, for example, even in good stress also, even in eustress also, patients may suffer from, the people may suffer with the stress itself, but that maybe gives some good thing in their body. Means studying for a big exam. See, when you are, even see, for example, you take that the many people are wants to go for abroad. So even before going to abroad, so they will have a IELTS exams, right? So they need to prepare for the IELTS. if you'll get the proper score only, you will have a permission to go to the abroad. So you'll study hard. So actually your desired goal is to go to abroad to earn the money and to settle in your life. So that is your desired behavior. That is good actually. So before reaching that goal, you will cross some sort of stress. Means when if you want to get a good score, whole night you need to study, whole night you need to prepare. Even you may forget to sleep, even you may forget to take bath, even you may forget to eat properly. So that may leads to some sort of stress, but in end you will have a good result and good future. So that is called as eustress. Even there are the studying for a big exam and receiving good grade on the exam, it is called a eustress. When the stress has a negative effect such as confusion and inability to make decisions and illness, it is called distress. What do you mean by distress? Means when you will have a negative effect. So even you cannot have a positive effects also, always you will have a negative effect, like confusion, always you may have a confusions, and inability to make decisions. Okay, you cannot take any decisions when the problems occurs. Okay, when the situations are going wrong in front of you, when you are not able to take a proper decisions, that also may leads to stress. Even a chronic illness also which leads to the stress, that is called as distress. Okay, eustress, eustress is good stress. Getting into college, that also, because when you are getting into college you will have some sort of confidence and you will have a good new environment and all. But when you are going through examinations, when you are going through assignment, when you are going through a works and all, that may leads to some sort of stress. But after the college days you will have a good future. The getting engaged, that also one of the, when you newly married couple. So if you take newly married people, so even the girl is very marriage is the good. Okay, the marriage is the good, but after getting marriage, what will happen? Okay, you will always feel that how to adjust with the environment, how to adjust with the people. Okay, you will have new responsibilities than the before. Okay, you want to you want to take care of family, so that all the additional responsibilities you may get. But the stress is good stress, because you got a new life and you started new life, that is the good. But even though you may go through the some sort of stress, that also good stress. And winning lottery, before winning lottery you will have some sort of tension, some sort of problems and all. When you get, maybe you may maybe you may have some financial problems also. Suddenly if you will get the lottery, you will feel somewhat happy. Distress, stress from bad sources, distress. What do you mean by distress? Distress is stress is getting from the bad sources, that is called as distress. So difficulty work environment. Okay, when the environment is not suitable for you, when the environment is, when you are not when the environment is not you are not adjusting with the environment, so we cannot do work properly. So that is also one of the bad source. And threat of personal injury. Okay, the personal injury also one of the problem. And diseases, chronic diseases also, when the person is suffering from the chronic illnesses and all, that also which may leads to the distress. And the general adaptation syndrome. So you may need to understand the theory, here the adaptation syndrome, general adaptation syndrome, you need to understand. A theory developed by Hans Selye that suggests that a person's response to a stressor consists of 3 stages: alarm stage, mobilization stage, and adaptation stage, and exhaustion. Okay, alarm and mobilization, and adaptation and exhaustion, these are the 3 stages. When the person is affected with the stress, the person need to cross these 3 stages. So this is the general adaptation syndrome. This theory was developed by the Hans Selye. Okay, the first one is alarm response, second one is adaptation response, and the third one is exhaustion. First we will see the alarm response, means fight or flight response, that prepares the body for immediate action. When the stress affects to the body, immediately the body need to respond, that is fight or flight response or alarm response. Alarm in the sense, when we'll we'll awake when the alarm rings, so suddenly we'll awake from our sleep. This also, when the stress affects, immediately we may react, immediately we may respond. Okay, that is called as alarm response or fight or flight response. Fight or flight responses, sequences on the steps in the fight or flight behavior, like they given. Like the first one is the brain appraises a situation as threatening and dangerous. Okay, here the brain is appraises first when the stress affects to the patient. Okay, the brain is appraises a situation, so then that may be affect and that may be threatening and dangerous, and the lower brain structure secretes a stress hormone when suddenly the stress occurs in the brain. Okay, so automatically the lower brain structures may be releases or secretes a stress hormone. That the stress hormone signals the adrenal glands to secrete adrenaline, that causes the muscles to tense, the heart to beat faster, and the liver to send out sugar to be used in the muscles. Here, like first when the stress occurs to the patients, what will happen? These are the changes he may have, that may be affect to the lower structure of the brain. When the lower structure of the brain affected, automatically there will be a secretion of stress hormone. When the stress hormone secretes, automatically that may give signals to the adrenal gland to secrete the adrenaline. When the adrenal secretes, automatically the muscles whichever there in our body, it may be tense, and the heart may be beat faster, and the liver may send some sugars to the used in the muscle. So these are the changes may occur in the fight or flight or alarm response. So adaptation phase. If the source persists, the body prepares for long-term protection, secreting hormones to increase blood sugar levels. This phase is common and not necessarily harmful, but must include periods of relaxation. And here adaptations here. The next phase is adaptation. Here, if the source persists, the body prepares for long-term protection and secreting hormones to increase blood sugar levels. This phase is common and not necessarily harmful, but must include periods of relaxation and rest to counterbalance the stress response. Fatigue, concentration lapses, irritability, and lethargy results as the stress turns negativity. Okay, here the adaptation means when the sources are persist, when the body is so in those times the body need to prepare for the protection from the stress, and when the secreting of hormones or when the adrenaline secretion is occurring, there may be a like liver supposed to send to use the blood sugar levels. So that liver maybe increases the blood sugar level to secrete the hormones when the secretion of hormones occur. So this is the common phase, and but sometimes it not necessarily harmful, but we need to include some relaxation in this phase. And means adaptation, we need to adapt to the stressors, we need to adapt to the stressor situations, or like so. And when sometimes we need to have a counterbalance to the stress response, like fatigue, concentration, and irritability, and lethargy, and sometimes stress may be turns to the negative. Then exhaustion. In chronic stress situations, suffers enter the exhaustion phase. Emotional, physical, mental resources suffer heavily. The body experiences adrenal exhaustion, leading to decreased stress tolerance, progressive mental and physical exhaustion, illness, and collapse. So here the chronic stress situations. Okay, when we unable to overcome particular situations or particular stressors, that may a chronic stress situations, like the people those who are suffering with the stress, they may enter into exhaustion phase, like emotional, physical, mental resources suffers heavily. Okay, it may be affected with the mental resources, physical and emotional resources also heavily. In those situations, the body may experiences adrenal exhaustion. Adrenal exhaustion in the sense adrenal gland may be secreted the adrenaline excessively, so it may leads to decreased stress tolerance. Okay, you cannot tolerate the stress properly, and progressive mental and physical exhaustion, even illness, sometimes it may leads to the collapse. Symptoms of stress. What are the symptoms for the stress? How can you identify a person is suffering from the stress? Like he may have a physical symptoms, mental symptoms, behavioral symptoms, and emotional symptoms. So the first we will see the physical symptoms. What are the physical symptoms we can find in the patients who are suffering with the stress? Like sleep pattern changes, fatigue, digestion changes, loss of sexual drive, headache, aches and pains, infections, indigestion, dizziness, fainting, sweating and trembling, tingling hands and feet, breathlessness, palpitations, missed heartbeat. These are the physical symptoms. Mental symptoms are lack of concentration, memory lapses, difficulty in making decisions, and confusion, disorientation. He is not at all oriented to time, person, and people, and panic attacks also. Memory lapses means loss of memory. And behavioral symptoms that are there may be appetite change, too much or too little hunger. Okay, eating disorders that may be bulimia nervosa or anorexia nervosa, and increased alcohol or other drugs, and increased smoking, restlessness, and the patients may have fidgeting and nail biting and hypochondria. Okay, these are the behavioral symptoms. Emotional symptoms are bouts of depression, major depression they may have, impatience, fits of rage, and tearfulness, and deterioration of personal hygiene and appearance. These are the emotional symptoms. Okay, stress control, ABC strategy. Okay, how can, okay, ABC strategy, we need to follow ABC strategy for control of the stress. ABC strategy. A stands for awareness. What causes you stress? How do you react? So awareness in the A stands for awareness. Okay, awareness in the sense you need to know the what are the causes to how what are the causes to which leading the stress, and how do you react to the stress. That is the awareness. You need to aware, you must be aware of causes which leading the stress, and you need to have a awareness how you react to the stress. B stands for balance. Next one is balance. There is a fine line between a positive negative stress, positive stress and negativeness. Okay, you need to balance the both. Even positive stress you need to balance, and even you need to balance the negative stress also. How much can you cope up with before it becomes negative? Okay, like you are the person, when you are affecting with the negative stresses, how can you cope up with that particular stresses? That is comes under balance. How you are balancing the stress, either negative stress, either positive stress. C stands for control. C stands for control. What can you do help yourself combat the negative effect of stress? Okay, how can, when the stress is occurs, either positive stress or either negative stress, how can you control the stress when it affects to you? It may be due to your personal life situations, it may be due to a loss of loved ones, it may be loss of your job, it may be loss of failure. Okay, these are the problems when these are the problems which made you into the deep stress. So how you will control as a individual, that is the control. A stands for awareness, B stands for balance, C stands for control. Stress and its management. Now we'll move on to the stress as well as its